I would like to call the meeting to order of the City of Monona Community Media Committee, August 8th. You obviously have the roll, Will.
I do.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from July 18th? Susan, thank you. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
Dave, seconds, great. Thank you. Any changes, corrections, additions to the minutes? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I
Aye.
Great, thank you. With that, we'll move to appearances. Is there anybody here to make an appearance tonight? Or have you had anybody write in, Will? We're good?
Nope, I got nobody here for an appearance and no write-ins, so I think we're good.
Okay, we don't have anything under ongoing business. With the new business, we have 25 operational budget review and possible approval.
Yes. Okay, so I guess I'll start with the revenue stream to get an idea of where that is and where that's coming from and how that works. And then we can go into the actual budgets. If you are looking at the budgets, you'll see that there are three different ones, and we'll get into that in a second. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to close some windows so it's not so confusing once I do. Okay. And I'm going to share this. And then I'm going to hope that once I pick what I want here, you will see it. Okay, can you see this document?
I can see, I don't see an open document. I just see, your pointer at a file, an Excel file.
Okay, let's just start this over. Get out of here. There we go. Okay. All right, so here's the Excel file. Let's see if I can't get that. All right. So I assume you see this now.
Yes.
Okay. This is our franchise fees from 2010 on until the current first quarter. So the only thing I guess I wanted to show here was that if you look over here, you'll see that there's definitely some fluctuation where we were at in 2021, we were at about 47,700. Then we went up in 22 to 48,600. 23, we went back down a little bit to the 47,600. And right now, we're trending for the first quarter per quarter because this bottom one is quarterly average.
Yep.
So we're trending down by about 1,600. I don't think it's anything to totally freak out about. Like with the construction and with the way the promotions go with cable and things, I'm sure it could go up. It could obviously go down as well. But it's not drastic. So that's a positive sign. And you can see throughout the years that we have stayed fairly steady, since 2018 perhaps, or 2019, I guess, is maybe when we saw some of it starting to drop. But nothing has been drastic. It's always been somewhat of a slow curve down. Not to say that it couldn't change to that, but I think we can feel a little comfortable that we're not seeing any drastic changes.
Well, and it's safe to say that there, at least from my viewpoint as an older person, we expected it to go down,
Yeah, right.
right? I mean, the more people cut their cable,
Yep.
the more we can expect those franchise fees to go down, and we've thought that would be the case all along. So frankly, I think they've gone down a lot less than I would have expected, so.
Agreed. I think the biggest challenge moving forward will be Charter, because they tend, well, because now they're offering, whether it's new or whether people are catching on. I know my sister just signed up. They're offering basically internet TV.
Right,
So if people start switching over to just basically getting internet with Charter and getting their internet TV type of situation, then we might see a little bit of a bigger hit. But nothing.
we can't do anything about it, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So okay, well, I'm gonna keep that there while I queue up another document. In fact, let's see if maybe I can open up my,
Will,
yeah,
can I ask a dumb question?
sure.
Would there be any like new like legislative requirements of streaming companies to provide funding for any of this? for
Yeah, no,
community
that's a great,
media?
actually, that's a great question. So the Wisconsin Community Media Organization, which is essentially like Wisconsin Broadcasters Association for radio, Wisconsin Radio Broadcasting, Wisconsin Community Media is basically that type of organization for the community media organizations throughout Wisconsin. So like McFarland's Community Cable and Stoughton's Community Cable and, up north and all that. They're the ones who, like with WBA, help lobby to make sure that we're not just getting our money taken away. And they've never really taken that step to try to fight the internet money and say we should get a slice of what these media conglomerates are, I should say these cable providers are getting for revenue in the municipality like they do for cable, if that makes sense. So I
Yeah,
totally agree. It would be nice if we started saying, look, we should get some of the internet money that you're getting in this municipality as well as the cable money. No one's ever taken up that fight. My guess is
yeah.
everybody thinks it's going to be a losing battle, so they don't even try. I know it's been talked about, and it's never been anything that anybody wants to pursue.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I mean, I'm a little surprised that nobody, some of the diehards haven't said, no, we got to really try hard. But I mean, it's really hard to get anybody's attention when it comes to these cable franchise fees and stuff. That just
Right.
legislators are kind of like, they don't really, I think we have Tammy Baldwin, who has, expressed her support along with one or two others. But when it comes to like bringing a bill to the legislator, you kind of want to have Republican and Democratic support so that it can
Yeah.
actually go somewhere. And that's just, we can't seem to get that for any of this type of stuff.
Okay.
we can be hopeful towards the future since we've just done redistricting, but,
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay, so where does this take us in terms of the budget?
So I just wanted to show where that was going, and then I'm going to open up the operational budget, and I hope you see that. Otherwise, I'll have to share that. Did that pop up for you?
No,
All right. I thought this,
you have to close one document before you open another one.
yeah, let's see if I got it now. Let's see. Here we go.
There you go.
Okay. All right.
Everybody see that?
Everybody sees all these all these numbers.
Okay,
Okay. I can't see you guys, so I'm just gonna talk through, and then I don't know how we want to do it. But feel free to just say, "Hey, wait a second," or whatever, or however
I
y'all.
would suggest, as we do at the council level, Will, I would suggest that you only, unless people have an objection, I would suggest that we only talk about those things that are dramatically or significantly different than what were budgeted this year.
Okay, sounds good. So up top here, we have three different budgets. There's a referendum budget, which essentially is, okay, the referendum passed. Here's the budget we can create.
So does everybody, let me back up a minute.
Sure.
Well, just in case, does everybody here understand when he says referendum? Does everybody understand from getting a survey as a resident or from other sources, the operating referendum that we're speaking about? Right, so that operating referendum, it's, the option A was to cover, salary and benefit increases for our staff over the next 5 years, that would bring them up appropriately to market rate. Because we're losing staff and we have the best staff in the whole damn county. We don't want to lose anybody. And then there were other options as well. But the first referendum, option A is the one we're going to be going with. And so but the staff was asked to come up with a budget, assuming the referendum passes. Because that referendum included not only salary increases for people, but it also included, again, over a 4-year period, maintaining our services as currently offered. And so the staff was therefore tasked with coming up with budgets if the referendum passes. If it doesn't pass, what kind of cuts would they have to make in their departments, or would they recommend making in their departments in order to meet our budget needs, if the referendum doesn't pass? So,
Yes. So that said, this column here is for if a referendum passes. And if it does, then what we were directed to do was create a budget that is increased. From my end, I could 10% I could increase non-personnel expenses or non-personnel operational costs, which really for this budget, for our budget for this department, is only $2,000
right,
because we are just people heavy and our operational expenses are tied up in people, not necessarily all the other stuff as much. So raising the operational cost outside of personnel, not including personnel, it's only a $2,000 increase. The formulas down here, we'll get to that. I will go through the ones that I worked on that actually increased quite a bit from last year, partly due to some bad math on my part for 2024, and also due to some subscription increases. So if we start with television, and we'll look at these numbers, we really are going to look at studio maintenance. And that increased by about $600 because I needed to add in a cell phone charges that were getting essentially miscoded and weren't getting put into the right spot. So that's how that went up. All these other ones are personnel, and or a number that I don't have control over, other than professional development. Since I did have some room, I did increase it only because if you look at how much professional development cost year to date for this year, it was $760, which is $65, which essentially is for television is our membership to the Wisconsin Community Media Organization, as well as some funds to submit to their awards presentations, which we always bring home some awards for that as well. So I just brought it up to what we submitted this year. This number, I should say, also includes attending a seminar, their spring seminar.
Mhm.
So I added that in. That's about it for TV. Radio, you're going to see everything's the same except for when we get down to this number right here. These were increases to our streaming player. That price increased. Our price increased a little bit with our remote access to the computer. So TeamViewer, which allows us to access the computer, the radio computers from home. Obviously, we do some work at home, but also if anything crazy happens over the weekend, we can jump on and make sure that the radio station's still on the air. One of those things being when it's slushy and or snowy, and the antennas freeze up there, and then essentially the transmitter shuts down because it's getting power reflected back into it because there's ice on the antenna. So when it's trying to send something out, it bounces right back against itself, and then the transmitter goes, "Whoa, I'm getting power sent back to me. I'm going to shut down." And then we have to go in and just change the amount of watts from 100 watts to 10 blasting watts. Anyway, that's a little sidebar, but that's the type of stuff we do. It was also, you know, how you sign up for Charter or AT&T or wherever you get your internet or your cable TV, and you get this great 2-year deal, and then after 2 years it just goes way up. That's also what happened as we changed to TDS for our internet, both at City Hall and here. And last year, I did not take that into account when I budgeted this number. So now we got an increase this year as well as from last year. So that's why this number is so much higher. Those are the two major differences as far as, you know, from 2024 to 25. It was obviously that 10% increase I went over, and it's actually, if you look at the referendum, what I don't know what I want to call this, how it all pans out, is it actually went up 20%. The reason I kept it at 20% was I wanted to make sure we all saw, everyone sees, the mayor, council, what the true cost to continue is for the radio and television. I'm also not terribly concerned because an additional 10% is $2,000. So far this year, we have been able to bring in an additional $12,400 in revenue from the work we did with the Harry Whitehorse Festival, for the work we partner with the Monona Eastside Business Alliance and providing business profiles for their members, as well as getting digital assets for them that they can utilize in their publications, in their marketing. So already we brought in 12,400. If things go the way they could go the rest of the year, we could stand to bring in about $18,000 this year in additional revenue. So I feel confident that I can cover that $2,000 if needed, and if you know, council decides to only do a 10% increase. Does that make sense for that one row? Any questions there?
Well, so you're not budgeting any of that revenue in your revenue projections, you're just, hoping. You're,
I'm confident that next year I can do the same, but I don't necessarily want to put it in. I
right,
guess I can talk to the mayor and see what she would like to do. What the Monona Eastside Business Alliance partnership is essentially, I go give her a proposal of here's what we've done it 2 years in a row now, where I say, okay, based on our conversation, here's what you're looking for, here's what it'll cost, and we basically just charge our time of what it would take to edit, to shoot, to do all these things. And then when I shouldn't say when MESBA goes to the Tourism Commission to get their funding, they add in our proposal, and then they end up giving, if they get that from the Tourism Commission, then they end up giving that to us for the work that we do throughout the year. So I'm confident the MESBA will continue to get that money, but I haven't put that in revenue for next year because there's no guarantee.
right. So, and I wasn't just, it was an inquiry as to whether you had, and my thought was certainly that you don't want to put in revenue that is super soft. On the other
Yeah.
hand, it's my view that we might want to consider, I mean, we might want to, I'm assuming there are other revenue generating opportunities for you. If it's not MESBA, it's going to be something else. And so you might consider adding some additional revenues to reflect that, because otherwise, it just seems we want to be as transparent as we can. And so if we've consistently brought in more revenue, even if it was a smaller amount, we might want to consider that, but that's up to this committee to decide. So why don't you move to the next one?
Okay.
The rest of these, because I know I personally, I'm on vacation at the moment and I have family here.
Oh,
And so suffice to say, I would love to not have a 2-hour meeting.
well, I will admit that I'm hoping at 6:15 we can end because I have a flag football meeting for my son. So
Okay,
Well, Nancy, let me just ask you one quick question.
Yeah.
Again, and Katie can speak to this, again, from the school board point of view, I've done a review of this, and we'll do this for many years for us now, and has really maintained a nice piece for that. I guess at this point, particularly since I know that, I have a meeting at 5:30 as well. I'm ready to move approval of the budget. And then you can amend it even after you've approved it if you continue discussion, but you at least have that in your hand before somebody leaves the meeting and you lose your forum.
sure. And I have absolutely no doubt, as you said, Susan, I know that Will does a fantastic job budgeting. As I said, I think we have the best staff in county. So, and actually, if you've held revenue back in the past and that's worked better for Winnie Media and the mayor doesn't have a problem with it, I don't have a problem with it.
well, I will say you make a good point. I have never, this is kind of a different year. I have never made this much revenue in one
Right.
year.
Yeah,
Usually it's pretty nominal, $3,000 maybe.
yep,
You
okay,
know, a potential $18,000 has never happened.
right. So Susan, we're gonna make a motion or you want, you want?
I
Will-
would like a motion to approve. I'm gonna look at the agenda. I would like to make a motion to approve the 2025 operational budget.
Okay.
And I would hope we get a second.
I second that.
You have a second with Anita, okay?
Yep.
Yay.
Does anybody want, any other discussion? Do people want to just see the bottom line on the other two items, like the comp plan and cost to continue, or does any of that matter, given that there's a $2,000 difference, or are people comfortable with it?
I
That
can
was-
just give a quick description that the comp plan budget basically says if the referendum fails and the council decides to enact the compensation plan, you need to cut 5% from your budget, which is $1,000. And then the cost to continue is, okay, if we don't do anything and all we do is just stay where we're at, then you have 1%, $200 to add to your budget. Obviously, the cost of inflation and things are not 1%. As you can see, I had to get rid of, this service right here, studio maintenance, which is our service agreement with the radio automation. I had to cut some of the streaming service for the radio station.
Right.
So I made some cuts there in hopes that the Friends group can help and or I can utilize some revenue that may be created next year.
Got it. So any other questions for Will on this budget? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 The budget passes. Thank you all. That takes us to any reports.
Nancy, can I just double check? Are there any other things, Will, that you need voted on? It looked to me when I reviewed that it's just reports after this.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so is there any other reports from the radio or from the committee? Any other reports, suggestions, discussions that we need to have tonight? Joe, since you're on, certainly speak up if there's anything at WVMO too.
I don't really have a whole lot to report since our last month's meeting. We're very busy down here and we are working hard trying to develop underwriting opportunities for the station next year. And so those efforts are ongoing and hopefully over the next couple months, we'll be able to report back more about that. But I think I gave you a pretty good idea of what was happening last month. So
Okay, great.
I'll add real quick that I do plan to be at National Night Out next week, Tuesday the 13th, with probably the ice cream bike and a tent, whether it's a WVMO tent or the tent we have. But I plan to hang out and probably have the radio on at the tent. And anybody wants to come down and hang out with me, I'm going to try to get some ice cream and
That's great.
some ice cream and hang out. That's 5 to 7 next Tuesday the 13th at the Healy Lane parking lot.
Also happens to be the night of the senior concert, so it should be a busy night down there.
Yep.
Any other committee ideas, discussions? Newsletter looks great again. Thank you. I mean, I think we continue to do a lot better communication wise with the assistance of that newsletter, and more people keep signing up, so it's terrific. Anything else that people want to discuss? And if
I
not,
will just say, I believe next month
yes,
that we're going to try to get the new superintendent of Monona Grove Schools to come and say hello to us and meet us, since our partnership is so strong since 1979, from what I can tell. So we're going to try to meet with her and the staff next week. And then hopefully she'll come next month and meet with us and just get to know all of us and have a better understanding of this pretty unique partnership.
And Will, as you know, I will not be here next month. Even with a shift of plans, I'm on business out of the country for the whole month of September. So, you know, obviously the committee can meet, you just can't make decisions and, vote on things. But meeting the superintendent would not require a vote.
Sure,
So,
sure. Okay,
okay.
okay.
And I'm not honestly sure what the routine is, if there's, in the committees where there's one alderperson rather than two. And I have to look into that with you, and I promise to do that before I go.
Okay, I will too. I can talk to Leah and just see what she says. I believe we can just assign a committee member to kind of take the lead if
Okay.
I feel like I've done that before in the past.
Okay,
But yeah, we can firm that up and
terrific. That works for me. And I will miss seeing you all, but thank you for taking care of the budget tonight. And thank you, as always, for your service to this committee and to the city, through this committee. And I wish you an enjoyable, next, 3 weeks, 4 weeks of summer before we shift gears and go back to school and,
You got a text from your bus now.
and with that, I'd be
Forms.
delighted to take to motion to adjourn unless anybody has any other information. Any motion to adjourn? Anyone want to make a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn.
Fantastic, Dave. Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Great. Thanks, Katie. All right. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you again. Thank you all very much. Enjoy the rest of your August. I hope it's not too